Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Okran, welcoming you on behalf of Team Springboard, led by Comfort. Springboard is your most inspirational show and the point of convergence for the greatest minds. Your virtual university is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with the Multimedia Group and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, with support from the graphic business and My Joy Online. That means that on Tuesday, in the graphic business, get the full transcript of this beautiful interview we are about to have. So, for the past few weeks, we've been having this blockbuster conversation called In the Engine Room. I love the name. That means we get to go behind the scenes with frontliners in various fields, asking them the what, the why, the where, the how, the whom that undergird their work in the public space. And even more importantly, the tears, the fears, those tough decisions that don't get to be seen on the front line. So far, we've had Dinah Hamilton, Israel Laye, Ajiti Annan, Anita Eskin, Kwame Eugene, and Father Andrew Campbell coming through in the engine room. Talking about Father Campbell, please send money to Crusade for support for the lepers. And the number is on your screen. Just support Father with some small money for the lepers. It will go a long way to give each cured leper a better life. If you missed any of those editions, also find it on YouTube at Albert Okran. Today, I get to host my own sister, somebody I've been in the trenches with on the virtual university, the Roadshow 2012, 2013, 2014, in Tadi, in Tamale, and that eventful trip to where she's done teenpreneurship. She was an ambassador on the core program last year. I'm talking about the CEO of GDA Concepts and the one and only host of TheStandPoint, Oheneyere Gifty Auntie. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Reverend.
The daughter of God.
Yes.
You are too good. How are you feeling today?
I'm honored to be here and I feel humbled, every time in your presence, because this man you've learned so many things from, listening to and being around, and then he's coming to me and says, what's he going to ask me?
We are getting into the engine room today to find out the things that drive your life. But how's the family? My soon-to-be landlord at Idmasa, and then my precocious niece who was 4 years old a couple of days ago. How are they doing?
She's doing so well. She's fine. She's fun. She's such a blessing. Every time I look at her, I thank God.
Central part of the story of your life.
Yes, I thank God. Yeah. As for the chief, he's a legacy hunter. So he wants to turn Edumasa into the tourism hub or traditional hub of Ghana.
We'll talk about Edumasa in the course of time. But let me come to yourself. This week, two things struck me. I rewatched my interview with Anita, mentioning the fact that growing up, she watched you on TV and said, this is what I want to do, even if with a different flavor.
Right.
And really admired your craft, the delivery, the push, the commitment, the excellence that undergirded your work. Then I was driving on the Obasanjo Highway and I saw a billboard. It's a regular billboard I see very often, but seeing that billboard that day, it must have been GTP or one of those. Is it Blisco? No.
GTP.
GTP, yes.
GTP, yeah.
I saw it and it struck me that this is a very imposing image of yourself, iconic, that would speak to a young lady growing up who would say, this is what I want to be in future.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you were growing up, did you envision your life like this?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, with a background that I have, I grew up with so many dreams. But my greatest dream was to make my father proud.
Why?
And because I saw my dad make so many sacrifices for me. And my ultimate aim then was that when I grow up, I'll take care of Dada so that he won't suffer when I grow up, I'll give this. I'll buy fried rice for that.
Oh.
When I grow up, this. So my ultimate aim was to make my father. It didn't matter whatever I was going to do, but I just wanted to make my father proud. I wanted to be
Did
able
you realize that dream? Did you make him
Yes.
proud?
Yes.
Is he still alive?
No, my dad died in 2005. But you know something, Reverend? My dad, before he died, looked at me and said, Nana Medasi.
Oh.
Because of you, the whole Ghana knows my name.
Was that the happiest day of your life?
I mean, that is what gave me closure and peace when he died. Because I couldn't buy him a car. I couldn't, do anything great for him. I couldn't travel, or take him to places. But for the fact that he said he was pleased that I'd made him proud, it's so much, it gave me so much fulfillment and keeps driving me.
But I see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Tell me, when I ask people about their childhood aspirations, the answers are so different.
Yeah.
And yet they mean so much to the people involved. Yeah. And to you, it was make your father proud. What did you think at the time would make him proud? Let's say professionally. What did you think, if you did, would make him proud at the time?
I'm not sure I knew what it was. It kept changing. And so I'll see then custom officers around those times, nicely dressed, driving cars, and I wanted to be a custom officer.
Crazy. not a joke, but
yes.
the reason.
The reason. And then I saw clearing agents, come in, now a honorable, I think we used to call him Brad Carlos. We saw them doing well, and I wanted to be a clearing agent so I could make some money to take care of my dad. And then the last one was to be a land economist. Because then again, when I grew up to a certain stage, I think after, in the Form 5, 6th form, we saw some people in the Tem area, all of them did land economy and they were doing well. So I wanted to be a land economist.
That's where our aspirations overlap. I actually applied to do land economy in
tech. Me to same.
And then I went for an interview to do planning and got it, and I ended up in Lagos. But it's a funny world, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So your aspiration growing up was to make your dad
proud and to be able to take care of him.
In a world that celebrates mothers a lot, and that sometimes not deliberately marginalizes the role of fathers, it's amazing that yours seems to be the opposite. Do you know why you love your father so much? Because
I saw the sacrifices my father made. My father always drew me closer, would tell me stories. My father, I said, was born, he's a Gold Coast man, Gold Coast police officer, born 1916, went to the police force in 1945, Presbyterian trained, proud man. My father would eat fufu with fork and knife, with spoon. Yes, that's my father. Eating plantain, you cut the edges and, will not.
Was he very prim
and proper, a disciplinarian. But my father was very close to us. The first time, I had my menses, it was my father who was there. And I would never forget how he was old then. I'm a pension baby. His white shirt and gave it to me to clean up.
Oh.
Because my sisters and everybody. So the sacrifices, I've told this story. At a point, he had to become a security man, to be able to see me through school. And my father gave me so much confidence and believed in me. Nana, you can make it. Ube to me, he was always there. My father would follow me everywhere. It didn't matter. I paint this picture of my most memorable day or experience at Infantine Girls Secondary School throughout my 7 years was one day when I was in Form 3, senior on duty, supposed to be receiving visitors. I saw my father get down from STC bus with a briefcase under his armpit, holding a loaf of bread, and that memory will never leave my mind.
It was like gold bread.
See my father, because I know what it took for him to come.
Wow.
That's why I believe in communication. That's why I do what I do, because I believe that if a man could do this, a man such as my father could do this, more fathers can do it. more mothers can do it. And the little things my dad did that made a difference in my life, that has brought me this far. Reverend, I can't show you that when my father died, I had a pen. No, I don't have any property. But everything I am today is what he invested in my life, the sacrifices he made.
Very, very humbling. You've spoken about three things so far. You've spoken about the inspiration of your childhood,
Yeah.
and the drive to just make your father happy.
Yeah.
You've spoken about sacrifice,
Yeah.
and the picture it painted in your heart. And you've spoken also about legacy.
Yeah.
A very, very big word here in the Springboard
Yes.
family. Let's go on to your career. How did you find yourself in broadcasting? I mean, reading through your life story, I saw that you stepped in as production manager.
No,
production
floor manager.
Floor manager, sorry.
Yes.
Floor manager.
Yeah.
Just give us an idea about what a floor manager does, and then the
Okay.
transition into on-air broadcasting.
I don't know whether it's changed, but during my time, you stand behind the main camera person facing the newscaster or broadcaster or news presenter, and then you have your earpiece on, you hear the director shouting, "Stand by, presenter," and then you raise your hand. Action, then you drop your hand. Just cueing the presenter, but also making sure that the presenter has all his papers together, has everything he or she needs for that particular presentation. But ultimately, standing behind to cue the presenter, the news presenter. And it was so exciting for me. The first time I was put on, you know why? Because my name was going to appear on TV. That floor manager, Gifty auntie, and my father was going to see it.
Wow.
The first time my story, thanks to what I'm sure we'll talk about one of my mentors, but Mrs. Leslie from Asari.
Oh, Liz, okay.
Yes, a graphic, a Ghanaian Times. Oh, she was hard on me. Lord, she was hard on me, and she's still hard on me. I cried. One day, she just kicked me out to go and find a story.
What was it? Was that GBC?
No, Ghanaian Times.
So you did Times before you went to GBC?
Yeah. Oh, I did GNA.
Okay.
And then I went to Times before I went to GBC for internship. And then so after internship at GBC, they took me on for national service and then employed me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice journey.
Yeah, I tell you. So Auntie Liz just kicked me out. I came up with a nice story, helped me polish it, and it made the front page of Ghanaian Times that day. My father took the newspaper, roamed the length and breadth of Accra, Etama, and showed it to everybody. Gifty and Nana, only Gifty and Tini story.
Do you find that experience of expectation, the expectation of your dad and your commitment to make him proud, do you find that it influences your thinking, your perspective, even now?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yes, because now everything I do, I still think about my father, my father's legacy. I want somebody to say, oh, that's the late SCJ auntie's daughter. I would want people to say, oh, that's Victor's sister, that's Tina's sister. But now, ultimately, I want a Nyonyam to grow up and say, that was my mother. To see me and say, that's my mother.
Does it put pressure on you?
It does.
Tell me about the pressure.
Extremely, I have to be, extremely careful in my actions. Even on social media, the things I post, because I see the social media, internet never forgets. It keeps playing it back. I always ask myself, okay, so in the next 3-4 years, when a Nyonyam can read and, Google's mommy's name and it comes, what will come up?
Let me stay on social media and pick some of the battles that you have to fight when you get misunderstood or misquoted or something you do get misinterpreted. Yeah. Tell me about having to sometimes take to social media to set the record straight, as it were.
Yeah. It's so frustrating sometimes. Sometimes you write something out of the heart. And I write from my heart. I write when I'm motivated to. I'm not the person who always put a motivational quote on my page. Sometimes I'm putting jokes there, getting people to laugh or reposting other people's posts. But then when out of your heart you write, I remember recently, not too long ago, I wrote something. It was at dawn and I was up and I was just reflecting, looking at the sacrifices I've had to make because I have a child who is now growing up, 3 years then, and the things I have to let go because I have to make time. I have to make sure I get her to school by 1:15. I've closed for the day. I pick her up. I take her home. Continue to work from home. There are events I'm invited to. I can't go because I don't have a trusted person to. And I was just writing about that and encouraging mothers that, listen, we come to a stage in our lives when we have to make these sacrifices. But we should remember that it's a phase. It will get to it and these children will grow.
These are big points.
And we can get back on track. But then when we miss that point of being there for these children, guiding them, it's gone forever. We can't repay care.
And you got a reaction?
Oh, I had over 2,000 women sharing and saying, I thought I was the only one. I felt bad that I'm feeling this way. I felt terrible that I felt I'm a terrible mother by, thinking that I'm making too much sacrifices. Now it's good to know. And then a blogger picked it up. Headline: I'm fed up. I want to end it all. Gifty Auntie vents.
End it all?
End it all.
It's just beginning.
And the people just were calling. They thought I had become suicidal. They thought I want to divorce. I mean, it was ridiculous.
It's keeping quite difficult in such times. I'm asking.
It is.
I'm asking.
It is.
Tell me about it.
It is so difficult. Sometimes you're so tempted to react. But the thing is, I've come to realize that most of the time, these people know what they're doing. They know what they're doing is wrong. They just want to trend. They just want to drive people to their blocks.
At your expense.
At your expense. So I just ignore it. I just tell myself that, listen, those who know it. But sometimes you need to set the record straight. So I go back to the same social media and say, listen, look at what somebody has done with what I posted here. Look at the twist that they've given it. Sometimes you need to react. Sometimes you just need to let it go.
You said something I think I would like to explore a bit more, what your work entails and having to make these brutal adjustments.
Right.
But for somebody who watches TheStandPoint, which is your most public work, there's so much you do that people don't know, but TheStandPoint is the one they get to see the most.
Right.
Behind the scenes, give us an idea about recording schedules, preparation, makeup, running around here and there, production, getting guests, cost, sponsorship. Give us an idea about the crazy behind the scenes.
Reverend, 2 weeks ago, that was on the 31st of July, I recorded 5 programs on a Saturday. 5 programs at a go, having to change clothes. In and out. Different groups of people. And one program I had to do part 1 and 2 because I had these young ladies who are firstborns and they're sharing their experiences, and I realized that these ladies, it's too deep. They needed to vent. Ending it after 1 hour was not going to help them.
I've had that experience before, so I can relate.
So you just had to let them talk and vent till they can get everything out of them, even if after that you edit it to 1 hour, whatever it is.
And how did you feel? I mean, doing all this and going through all this,
It
switching
was
of emotions.
It was tiring. It was heartbreaking. You have to combine everything emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. You are sitting there and you are praying. You are praying for somebody. You are just, tell God, please help me to, please help this person to focus. And then before then, getting the, your panelists, your guest. Consider one thing I do, like you, I learned from you, once again, I make sure I get personal contact with every single person who comes on the show.
Very important.
Before a producer or assistant can take over, I make sure I make that personal for them to know that I cherish them. I'm not doing them a favor. They are coming to share to help us
realize the dream.
Exactly.
Have you cried on set before?
Oh, yes. This program that I'm talking about, I cried and cried and cried.
This is a prophetic question.
I cried and cried. Oh, yes, I cry sometimes somebody's relate. I mean, talking about something and I can relate. I can relate. This particular one, I mean, I just felt like, man, I have taken my big sister for granted for too long. You know, she's the first girl. And we put so much pressure on her. I didn't realize the sacrifices she had to make for our sake. So there's that emotional, regret and remembering certain things, and then you yourself putting yourself. Like they talk about ingratitude. You know how they felt taken for granted, and then remember you have been there too. You know, being there for other people, some family member, relatives, and you feel so taken for granted.
You know what just struck me? You just hit it so close to home.
Yeah.
My big sister had to stop her education after Form 5 because there was absolutely no other way to start working to augment my mother's income, to look after my brother and myself. She had no choice at the time. So she truncated her education to look after us, work and look after us. So when she passed, regrettably, about a decade ago, my brother and I adopted her children and made them ours permanently. So close you wouldn't even know they're not biological. But that's the story behind it. This is real.
Yeah, it's real.
This is real.
The sacrifices, These days I talk to people about, having in-law relationships, and I tell them that, listen, you don't know the sacrifices that have been made. So when a mother or a sister, of course, sometimes people go overboard. You need to take your time and find out what has gone, because people carry so many pains and, brokenness. And if not properly handled, they misapply it.
Do you feel your life is about telling the other side of the story that's not known?
Yes. That's what I don't know how I got here, because growing up, I've always been this person, because of my background. Well, there's nothing there, so I had to cover up, keeping up appearances, peer pressure, behave as if nothing. Then suddenly I'm this woman who likes to tell the story as it is, as real as it is. Recently, I started putting my exercises on social media. It's conveying a message that it is not easy, but you have to be consistent. You have to persist if that is what you want. And I tell people, it's because I want to be able to keep up with my little girl. One of my fears, you ask behind the scenes whether your nephew is coming. I wish. But sometimes I sit back and okay, I'm 51 going 52. And I've just turned 4 years. Calculate the age difference. How long working, years do I have? How are my resources? Would I be able to give her? If I should add another one now, of course I'm not God. God works in mysterious ways, but God has given us wisdom. You need to plan. You need to add, add and multiply and supply and do everything.
Wow.
So a lot of things go into it.
But having a child at this late age is itself a story, a miracle, an example, a testimony.
Yeah.
Also a reminder that even if you didn't have, and so what?
And so what?
It's itself a story in itself.
Yes.
Do you find that sometimes people want to take your life away from you and live it the way they want to?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes. I mean, how sometimes people tell you, I don't even know how to put it, but most of the time people don't seem to understand or get it that your life has changed because there's a little one in there. And some of them have children, but their children are grown. I tell people that I had a child when some of my mates had grandchildren. So the sacrifices I have to make are different from what you have to make. I always have to think about her. But sometimes people make so much demands on you. You have to be here. We expect you to be here. We expect you to be there. You need to be able to do that. But it doesn't work like that.
I'm trying to find out, and if you just join us, this is Springboard in Virtual University. My own sister, Oheneyere Gifty, auntie is in the studio. The voice is unmistakable. And we are talking about her inspiration growing up, how her career journey began as a floor manager at GBC, or among other things. She's talking about GNA, Ghanaian Times, GBC, and then, of course, now doing GDA. She's talking about the fears her father and the sacrifices, the thoughts about legacy, talked about mentoring. But I want to explore in all this, you're trying to paint a picture. You're trying to live out a story.
Yeah.
Have you been broken before?
Oh, yes. Several times. When my plans don't fall through, I've been through betrayals. I've been through disappointment. I mean, failures, and the mistakes when you plan.
Tell me a couple of them. When you see it, people say, oh, okay.
Okay.
Tell me something that broke you, or something that you look back at and you say you wish it hadn't happened.
Yeah. For example, when I was in school at Infantman, I was a very brilliant student. When I was I went to government school, sat for common entrance. In Form 1, I passed. There was no money. So I went for another year. Form 2, I passed. I went to Infantman Girls Secondary School. I was doing well. Then peer pressure sets in. O-level, I did well. But A-level, I didn't do well because I let the entertainment thing go into my mind. And I was always modeling for school and doing that. And one of my regrets, I look back, and though I feel I made that for my dad later on in life, now I sit back and I've done, how I wish my father would have been excited if there was a kind of, like a speech and prize giving day. And I receive a prize. My father would be so excited. I look at relationships that I went in there that I shouldn't have. And I stayed for too long because of one reason or the other. Look at people I took in without praying about or without thinking through deeply, and they betrayed me. They left with this one that, she just came to do internship in my office, and I realized that whenever we close, especially on weekends, she'll follow one person or the other to go. So I asked her what was going on, and she said, her parents are dead, and her grandmother is in Kumasi, she's at Lagos, and so I brought her into my home. And that girl could have easily killed me.
Do you regret when you look back at such investments that have gone seemingly bad?
Some of them I regret. Some of them, I'm glad it happened because it's made way for me. It's reformed me. The regret because some of them, the tag will always be there. You can't rid yourself of it. There's certain, and when you are even about to do something new, it scares you. You remember that, this is what, so anything that looks similar to that, you are careful. You're not, now it's made me this person who always takes calculated risk. I need to analyze it, think about it, dream about it, pray about it, ask about it before I take. But sometimes, even after all that, I still fail.
You didn't get to do the speech day with the prizes that you wanted to do for your father, but was he alive in 2012 when you won 9 awards for journalism? Was he alive?
No.
Even then, you didn't see that one too.
No.
But I can tell you something. In his grave, he was smiling at you.
Amen.
When we come back from this break, we'll be talking to Gifty about being a chief's wife. We'll talk about her fears, her fake, super crazy faith, her writings, the legacy she wants to leave, and some more behind the scenes aspects you've never heard before. But before I went to the break, before that, she was talking about having done well in the O-level and failed in the A-level. Listen, if you didn't do O-level and A-level, you don't understand this dynamic. But it's a very important conversation. And this is the third time somebody very prominent on this show and in this period of a couple of months has mentioned doing extremely well, distinction at the O level, and then having a bad A level and how it turned around. In the next minute, you're going to hear from somebody who said the same thing, the Honorable Finance Minister, talking about Springboard. Take it away, guys.
Mr. Speaker, over the course of this year, I have traveled around the country, engaged with the people, especially young people. We have listened to them and heard their concerns. 8 weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, I visited Tamale and Sunyani and interacted with thousands of young people. Also visited Chebi and Triapiase, drawn from various universities and tertiary institutions as part of the Springboard Foundation program. I also participated in both the Accra Springboard and Nook's annual leadership training programs. These interventions, Mr. Speaker, provided me with yet another opportunity to experience at first hand the expectations and aspirations of our young people. We will work together to sensitize and connect the youth to the numerous opportunities being made available by government, including a strategy to create jobs and business opportunities for 1 million Ghanaian youth by 2024. So far, we've developed 5 new programs, including an exciting U-Bank program.
Don't be left out. Download the Pulse app from the App Store or Play Store to mash up all day, every day. You can also enjoy more mashup. Just buy the new Mega Bundle and get 3 gigabytes data, extra 400 megabytes for your social apps, and free MTN to MTN calls every Monday. So go ahead, feel the pulse on MTN Pulse. Just be. We're good together. Everywhere you go.
There once was a man who had it all. He had skill, he had charisma. He was loved by all, but above all, he knew the importance of helping others, lifting others up. He knew the importance of giving other people an advantage so that they too would use that advantage to help others. All you need is that advantage that sets you apart from the rest. And when you discover that advantage, life's challenges don't seem so daunting anymore. That's where we come in. Enterprise, your advantage.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and today we are in the engine room, the 7th edition of this absolutely unbelievable series, behind the scenes with frontliners in various fields. My guest for today, Oheneyere, Gifty, Auntie, and just to say a big thank you to MTN Pulse, UMB Bank, and the Enterprise Group for sponsoring this intervention, and of course the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group for making this possible for you out there watching or listening at home. Before we went on the break, the Honorable Finance Minister mentioned Springboard and what we've done with the young people over the years, and especially the opportunity to go to Tamale and to go to Sunyani. He's a Springboard alumnus. I mean, if I say alumnus, he's one of our early mentors, and he was the very first to give us a chance with sponsorship when we started this thing through DataBank at the time. And then he spoke on the platform for a number of years before he went into public life. So this year, we invited him as a mentor, senior mentor, to travel, and because he was talking about entrepreneurship and young people a lot, to travel with us to Sunyani and Tamale to reconnect with what he calls his first love. And Gifty, you won't believe, and you know the terrain, you've been there, and he got there, and the difference, the people were waiting, and for 6 hours continuous, these young people engaged in different fora, working sessions, press conferences, plenary sessions, Q&A, and this was 6 continuous hours with different interventions, and they literally drained the whole life out of him. But the amazing thing, he learned so much from them. They learned so much from him. He saw a different picture from what tends to permeate the big media space. This was live, direct contact. So I am not surprised that it influenced his thoughts going forward. And I want to say a big thank you to you, Ken, for not just joining us on those trips, but also for the mention of our work in the mid-year budget. That was huge for us at Springboard. But you are a Springboard. I mean, we've done this all and seen it all. You're not surprised, are you?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. And I can't wait for COVID to go away so we hit the road, because it's different staying in Accra and speaking through the television or radio or whatever, and going on the field. I remember our trip to where our car broke down.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle belt.
Somewhere in the middle belt, and we saw these people coming, children running towards us, and we were scared. But when they came, they engaged, and then we learned about the cashew farm.
Right.
That was closed, and they told us about, how they grow cashew there and the time they harvested. It was an experience. When we got to Wa, the people were waiting for us, and they didn't even want us to go. The questions that came, the interaction. Till date, I meet people who will tell me that, or even on social media, that their first encounter with me, apart from seeing me on TV, was at various Springboard platforms. And today, I say to the glory of God that Springboard remains one of the biggest platforms that I've had the privilege to be on. Because you see, as you say, you see it.
By the way, do you know that next to Ghana, the 2 biggest countries that enjoy the core program in terms of participation, social media-wise and everything from the analytics?
Right.
Sierra Leone second and Nigeria third.
Whoa.
And it's huge in those 2 countries, including significantly your presentation on that platform, the e-conference platform. Huge. And you ask yourself, should we give more attention to these youth mentoring programs as a national developmental agenda?
It's very important.
Why?
It's very important. I remember sometime you asked me a question, what I thought was the biggest challenge of the youth of today. And I said confusion. Confusion because they see so many things. They have access to so many things. But we have very few people telling them the true stories. That life is a process. That we did not just get up to get here. That even those who were born with golden spoon in their mouth still have to work to sustain their businesses, to grow their businesses. It takes a lot of sacrifices. It takes sleepless nights. It takes hard work. It takes, watering whatever it is that you're growing. We need to guide them and to tell them, to prepare them. So we have too many people, young people, seeing Reverend Albert Oka. Oh, I want to be like him. I also want to host. I want to be a national icon. I want to to receive the Millennium Excellence Award like him, like his wife, the 2 of them. But they don't know what exactly goes into
in the engine room.
In the engine room.
Let me pick one engine room story I've been waiting to ask you about. You've done hawking and carpentry. Last week, Father Campbell blew us apart when you talked about being a laborer at a point and selling and getting, is it 6 shillings or 12 shillings or 10 shillings a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, wow. Tell me about hawking and carpentry. Tell me about it.
Okay. Where's the mug? I still have the mug somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
A
For
scar?
the hawking, yeah.
Yeah.
A
that's
scar. It's here.
Yeah.
Used to sell a soap called Touch Me.
Don't Touch Me.
Don't Touch Me. Those days it was full of acid.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to hawk that. There was a lady who lived behind our house who used to make them. So my father would let us go for some. And then we'll go and hawk it, roam the length and breadth of Temaseli.
At what stage in your life was that?
Oh, I was 7, 8.
So primary school?
Primary school. Yeah. Temakonte, number 1 primary. We sold Guardian soap as well.
As well as Don't Touch Me.
Don't touch, as well as Don't Touch Me. Don't touch me. As curious as I am, I touched, and it touched my skin. It gave me the scar.
Just wonder how you used to bath with that soap.
Yeah. It is just amazing. And then the carpentry came after sixth form when I didn't get tech. And I was waiting to go to GIJ. And I was wondering how I was going to pay because my father was quite old then. He had done the, security work, the watchman thing. He sold, insurance door to door. He was getting weak. So I needed to work to be able to sustain myself and see myself through education. Then I met these 2 guys at Trade Fair. They used to make these wall hangers, David and Michael Maldima.
I know them too well. We share the same stand at the Trade Fair because I was the one making the wall hangings.
Yes.
And they were David, the Maldima, them were doing some other stuff. We share the same stand at grand sales and all those trade fairs. I know them down well. And even at Walter Hall, we share the same stand.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah. So I met them and they decided to get me on to work with them. So what they were doing is they do the cutting. It is a workshop, carpentry shop around the Teshinungwa, Farm Milk, opposite the farm Milk depot. So I'll get down at Nungwa barrier and walk up to the place because there was no money. Then they will cut the artwork and then I will sandpaper it and then lacquer it. Sandpaper, those who don't know lacquer, the shiny, that one thing, the thing that makes them look shiny, lacquer it, and then they will do the sticking on. So we did that for close to a year before I went to GIJ. And even when I went to GIJ, for the first year, I was still doing it. So when I close, I go there to continue to earn some money, and then we'll hawk that as well. Sometimes we'll move from door to door to sell.
Did your mates ever see you hawking?
Oh, yes.
How did it feel?
Interesting. I don't remember anybody saying anything to my face, but I know there were a lot of things, said behind. They were laughing at me. But there's one thing about me, Reverend. Whatever I put my hands to, whatever I do, I make it look so attractive.
So what, you're hawking with style or what?
Hey, with swag.
Hey!
And yes, I'm get to work. I will make you buy it, and let it, make it seem as if it's the most classy thing to do.
One of my favorite scriptures of all time is that in all labor there's profit. So really, it doesn't really matter what God puts in your hands at any point in time, do it. Do you agree?
Exactly. Just like I did with a floor managing. And I did even on the breakfast show, my first appearance on TV, on the breakfast show, I was put on the breakfast show, first ever morning show on TV in Ghana. I was put on as a floor manager. But Reverend, I put my all in it that very first day, I ended up being a presenter on the show. And that started my TV appearance journey. To that.
So the floor manager job, well delivered, opened the door for your TV appearance.
In one of my, I talk about preparation, opportunity, and success. Because
what is it that makes? I compare your story, Anita's story, and Israel's story, and there's just one strand that is so common in all of them. Yeah. You both started with background roles that you excelled in, and you both ended up, all three of you started with background roles, with the frontline role in mind, but with the background role that was executed so well, and then you ended up in the front line. What's the big lesson in it for those who are hustling, trying to look for the front?
I always say that don't aim for fame. Let fame find you. Wherever you find yourself. And I mean, we've heard it, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with, just one step. It doesn't matter where you find yourself. You don't know who is watching you. So do everything you are given with every passion and diligence and commitment. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what you want to get. You know where you are going. You know what you want to aim at. Every step of the journey is a learning process that you have to learn something.
Are you still learning?
Oh, I'm still learning a lot.
Tell me the latest.
I'm learning to be a wife. I'm learning to be a mother. I'm learning to be a leader.
Tell me about being a chief's wife. I mean, I've known you all for years, so I noticed when you added Oheneyere to your name, and it raised a lot of eyebrows. But it has been accepted now as your brand. But I'm interested in the nuances of Oheneyereship.
Yeah,
Oheneyereship. It's a course.
I tell you, it's a course, a whole course on its own.
Has it changed your life?
It has.
Tell me about it.
It has changed my life. It's made me more tolerant, more accommodating. I'm that person that used to love my space. When I'm in my home, my private space, my enclosure. That's it. I'm public. Yes, we are out there doing that. But then suddenly you marry a chief, and then people just come into the palace as and when, without prior notice. My father raised me, you are going to visit, so even in relationship. Before I get to my boyfriends, I'll tell him, please, I'm coming, I've reached there. Communication. They just turn up. You be in the room, patch up, you in, then they'll just come in there. And then you'll be home, and then they will come as and when. So you have to be accommodating. You can't frown. You have to serve the people, because as a Oheneyere, you are the mother of the town. So everybody is your child. I remember when I was getting married, they said, your pot has to be bigger. I didn't get it.
So you sometimes cook and then
yes.
people come and eat all the food?
Every time I go to Edumasa. Every time.
What does it mean? They come and eat all the food and they're happy?
Yes, they will eat, the elderly people will come and eat, the children will come as soon as they see that the young men and young ladies who help in the palace work, they will come and you cook. Every time there, last weekend was Akwesidae. I had to go there. I had to cook.
Doesn't it disrupt your life?
It does. But now I'm learning to incorporate that into my life, for a long time. So I don't used to go there often, especially during Akwesidae. And then a few weeks to Akwesidae, that's the last weekend, the Paramount Queen mother just calls me. They said, you go and, serve. So you have to go. And I keep telling Nana, one of the biggest things I've had to sacrifice for being a chief's wife was crossing my legs.
Tell me about it.
I loved crossing my legs. Oh, even in my sleep, I would cross my leg. But now you can do that, sitting in front of the chief, sitting in front of the elders, because it is translated as bad body language. I don't even know whatever that means, but it's not, acceptable. It's not a sign of respect to the chiefs and the queen mothers and then the elders. Giving that up doesn't take anything away from me as a person. It doesn't demean me. It doesn't hurt me. So anything that, if it will bring peace and, harmony and respect among us, fine.
I had a very interesting experience. My public speaking book and life. One of the things that has marked my public speaking was cultural awareness. Yeah. I spoke at New Ebrim, and I'd gone there the year before and done extremely well, in my opinion. But the Ochami said to me, last year was nice, but you kept holding the microphone with your right hand and gesturing with your left, which is culturally unacceptable. So he says, this year, hold the mic with your left. You can then gesture with your right, and if you make a mistake and swap, I'll be next to the chief and I'll swap my hand to remind you to reverse it. And he sat next to the chief the whole period. And anytime, naturally, the mic moved to the right, he will swap his hand like this, meaning mic to the left, gesturing on the right. After that, I said a big thank you to him because he said if I didn't listen to him, no one would have listened in the audience.
Yes, because
so you can say you don't. Exactly.
Yeah,
you can say, listen, it is my space, it is my mic. But then, what use is a speech without an audience?
Yeah.
Do you think that culturally we should be more appreciative of cultural nuances and cultural traditional beliefs, values that carry a message? Do you think we should spend more time being aware?
Reverend. Yes, Reverend. You know, in my book, A Bit of Me, I write a whole chapter on when society dictates. There are certain positions you find yourself in. My husband used to love pork, but...
Pork as in preconum.
Preconum. But when he became a chief, he has to stop eating it.
Why?
Because culturally, it's seen as a taboo. There's a history to it that, you know, during the days of whatever it is, you know, there was an issue. And so it's a taboo. They don't eat it. I have also learned so many things. But you see, our culture and our tradition is what sets us apart. That is what makes us Ghanaians. That is what makes us Fantis, Gamas, Airways, Dagombes. God, in his own wisdom, allowed us to be born into these. The Israelites have their own cultures and traditions, the way they dress, the food they eat.
Talking about dress now, I really like it. I like your shoes.
I
didn't want to change it. They look so great.
Yes, you didn't want me to change it. Yeah.
Those ones, and then the bracelets,
beads,
the beads.
You know, and the funny thing is, I've always loved these things. I didn't know, because my father was a true traditional man. My father was supposed to be a chief in Quantanine, but he said he was too old. So his nephew took that, you know. So my father
probably married a chief to make your father happy.
Maybe unconsciously.
Of course, let me greet my dear friend and brother Nana Nsakal. The fourth, is that correct?
The fourth,
yes, Nana Nsakal.
Yes,
thank you for being who you are, and thanks for being on the show the last time as we broke down Ghana from the various perspectives.
With Prof now, Vice Chancellor.
Yes,
Vice Chancellor.
And congratulations to Prof.
Yes,
the first female Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. You know, it's interesting that somebody drew my attention this week. It's been the trending news this week that the University of Ghana now has female leaders across the Vice Chancellor, the chairperson, my friend, the registrar, the head of Noguchi, and who are listing the number of ladies in leadership. And I spoke with Professor Dolphin about it quite a while ago, and I was saying to her, maybe they broke the glass ceiling and now many others can find the space. Let's end on the note of women, your favorite subject. Let's close with your thoughts for women as we explore leadership for women and the breakthroughs that we are seeing in terms of empowering women, creating space, now being able to celebrate one institution with women leaders across board, which is great for our society.
Right.
What will be your closing thoughts for that young lady out there who feels, I wish I could also have a story, my billboard on Obasanjo Highway, or being hosted on Springboard talking about my lessons? What will be your message?
There's a huge one in Kumasi. It's the Ahojo area. Billboard, also GTP within. It's become a tourist attraction.
Who take pictures there?
They take pictures and parents, you know, point them where home are, you know. Yes, you start any na you know. Do me when near school. It is that you can do it. I just want every young lady watching me today to know that life happens. Nothing is easy. Even the rich have their challenges. So don't ever sit thinking, if only I wish. Rise up and do something. Everything you put your mind to, if you work hard at it, you can make it. A lot of women have done it. It's not because it was given to them, but they worked hard to get there. And I want you to know that there's nothing like settling. You can never be complacent wherever you get to in life. You always have to work, add value to yourself. Prepare, constantly be aiming to go a step higher. Others have made it. You can make it. We stood on the shoulders of great people, women, and we are also offering you our shoulders to stand on, to dream and understand that there will be challenges, but you can make it. You need to die a little bit harder. You need to make more sacrifices. Let go of so many things that you can get later on in life. You know, let me tell you this funny story briefly, and then I'll end. Years ago, I went to work in London, and the money I had, I bought a suitcase full of shoes, and I brought them to Ghana. My sister was so disappointed. Said, listen, you can do this. You could have done this with all the money. I didn't mind her. Now, I'm grown up now, and those shoes, you know, and the shoes I can afford to buy now, I can't wear them. The shoes are not what made me Gifty Auntie. What is making me Oheneyere? What is making me the motivational speaker? It is the investment that I've made in my life, that other people have made in my life, the people I've listened to, the programs I've listened to, the advice, the critique that I've taken. That's what has come together to make me this. So take everything in your stride. Never think you know it all. At a point when everybody Gifty Auntie or no. If you're not careful, it will blind you. And my father taught me something. There's something called the curse of stardom. He said, when you're busy messing up, somebody's busy warming up to take over.
What a note on which to wrap up. When you are busy messing up, somebody is busy warming up to take over. You know what? You started with your father and beautifully and rightly ended with your father. 10 lessons from Gifty Auntie, and it was so difficult to choose 10 because this has been a program filled with lifelong lessons. Number one is about the inspiration and sacrifice of guess who? Her father. Mention his name.
Mr. Samuel Christian Kofiche Auntie.
Or full name. I knew it. Christian Samuel Kofiche.
Samuel
Auntie.
Christian Kofiche Auntie.
Sorry, do. So first one is about inspiration and sacrifice. Second one is about legacy. And she says, even now, when she goes on social media, the idea of legacy permeates her mind. The third is about mentorship. The mentors in her life, Auntie Liz Heffron Asari, correct?
Yes.
And then she now also being a mentor in people's life, seeing them all over the country and all over the world, and knowing that she's passing on something that her daughter can see and say, that's my mom. Number four, interestingly, social media engagement, the battles, the being misunderstood or being misrepresented, and the learnings from them. The fifth one was about the emotional pressure of being a leader or being a public figure and how people want to drive the way you live your life. The sixth was about her regrets at points in her life where she feels she could have done much more, honored her father more, won some prizes at speech day. But guess what? She won awards later that made up for that, several of them over the years. But the dad wasn't there to see them in person, but I can assure her he saw them in his grave. Number 7 is about what she calls confusion. I love it. It's a song. One of my guests not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, talked about a song called Confusion, and that was Kwame Eugene. So she's talking about confusion. She says, youth mentoring and development, many young people are dealing with confusion. The picture they see is what they want to become, but their reality at the starting point is very far away from it, and they need to understand that it's a journey. Number 8 is about profitable labor, where she defines what she did with being a laborer, being a carpenter, and how she would make everything with swag so you will appreciate it. Number 9 is about lifelong learning, the fact that she is still learning even now. And then number 10 is what I call Oheneyereship. The lessons of being in the palace, cultural awareness, cultural nuances, and how they shape our lives, and they have some value in it. The closing quote from Gifty Auntie: while you are busy messing up, someone is busy
warming up
warming up
to take over.
And that's from your dad.
Yes.
What a beautiful time we've had together.
Yes.
A big thank you to you, Gifty.
Thank you for having me.
Oheneyere Gifty Auntie. I will dance well. The daughter of God. Try you do. Thanks for coming.
Woman with super crazy faith in God.
Super crazy faith. We didn't talk about your faith, but it's just such a beautiful story that you live every day, even when we didn't talk about it. And we thank God for your life and pray that the next years ahead will be even more beautiful as you seek to impact people in the way that God has called you to do.
Amen.
A big thank you to MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, and of course the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group, and to the team at GDA Concepts for standing with you, Gifty, in all this and on this journey. May God bless them as well. So on behalf of Team Springboard, my name is Albert Okran, saying God bless you, God bless you, and God bless you.